What's going on, everyone? Happy Palm Sunday to those who celebrate. And today's weather forecast is for Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. Taking a look at the national satellite picture, you can see it's a quieter condition in the east today after a vigorous area of thunderstorms came through Ohio, Pennsylvania, and the mid-Atlantic region. Still some cloudiness, though, over Ohio and West Virginia, and even portions of Kentucky. Down in the south, it's quiet for now. You can see a southwest flows coming into Texas, and that's going to be part of what sets up for a stormy day, especially around Dallas, and then tonight in Louisiana, Mississippi, maybe even as far east as Alabama. Yesterday, I was saying I wasn't too concerned about that area. Things have changed. You'll see it on the Storm Prediction Center's forecast. Quiet day in California, which is well needed. You need a quiet day. You've had such bad weather lately. Check this out. Wind reports are absolutely crazy across Ohio, western Pennsylvania, southwest New York, Philadelphia metro area, my area. I'll show you a picture in a minute that I took yesterday. Yes, we had hail here, but there was also a tornado down in Delaware, and that tornado did cause damage. And unfortunately, there was one fatality. There was also another tornado back across, I believe it was southeast Michigan, and down in Delaware yesterday, there was a 98 mile per hour wind gust. And Mercer, PA had a 76 mile per hour wind gust. Yeah, yesterday was just not a good day for thunderstorms. I mean, look at all these reports. Here it was, Bridgeville in Sussex County, Delaware, 98 mile per hour wind gust. That was measured on a bridge by a weather station. Wow, and they're saying likely hit by the tornado. And here's what I had yesterday. I had not ping pong ball. I had marble-sized hail yesterday. Some of the stones, maybe not the ones in here, but some of them were up to about the size of marbles. It's something that is rare here. We don't usually see hail here. And we also had ferocious winds. Unfortunately, my weather station is obstructed, so I didn't get a true reading of the wind. But yeah, I could feel it yesterday. It actually made the whole house shake. Here's the hazards map. Yeah. Though it may look quiet in California today, it's going to be a windy day across all the Four Corners region. You're getting another day of wind. And back across Texas, northern Texas, portions of New Mexico, portions of Colorado. You also have another wildfire risk for today. You have red flag warnings up, but there's also today, we add the red flag risk to Missouri and portions of eastern Nebraska. Check this out. In the North Dakotas, South Dakota, even northwest Minnesota, back here across Wyoming. That's right, another winter storm's coming. And I kid you not, there could be upwards of 4 to 8 inches. Some models are showing much higher than that. You have to factor in for the time of the year, but 4 to 8 inches, maybe isolated 10 inches in the higher elevations. It's not out of the question. It could definitely happen. I mean, here we are, April 2nd, and we're still tracking this. Taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center. As you can see here, things have changed for today. There's now an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms across portions of Texas. And yes, that does include the metro Dallas area. As you can see, Dallas is right here, and they're right in the heart of this 30% for wind. There's also a 10% chance now, and it's hatched for a tornado. And there's also hail threat today as well. So yes, hail and wind are both at 30%, so it's something we're going to have to watch. Now they stopped the risk here at Mississippi. I'll show you why it could go even further east than that, but at that time it may be into tomorrow. Because let's go to the day 2 outlook. You can see there's a marginal risk across Alabama, marginal across Texas and Oklahoma, another marginal from Pecora, Illinois, all the way back into portions of Kansas. So yeah, we're going to have to watch that too. And then, of course, the big day, as of right now, is on Tuesday, where we have double enhanced risk. Where have we seen this before? Yep, another day that could potentially be big. Maybe not as big as Friday, but the models are kind of in disagreement onto how much convection there's going to be. At least from my point of view, they are. And from northeast Texas all the way up in through Missouri. Then again, from Missouri up into Illinois and portions of Iowa, there are 2 enhanced risk areas. It is possible some of them go up to a moderate risk as we get closer. We'll just have to watch what happens. All right, moving on to the HRRR model for today. You'll see quiet conditions continue in the east. Look what happens in Texas this afternoon. these clusters of thunderstorms get going this evening. And they continue. They continue eastward. It almost looks as if the HRRR model is trying to form some sort of a mesoscale convective system. It doesn't move terribly fast, though. I mean, it moves to the east, but not at lightning speeds like we see some mesoscale convective systems. As you can see by tomorrow morning, it just finally gets into Mississippi. And it takes all the way till tomorrow afternoon to finally get to Georgia. And you can see here, there's still storms going with this. Whether some of them are elevated or surface, that remains to be seen how it's going to play out. But there definitely could be a couple tornadoes today in portions of Texas. The wind threat will probably carry all the way, at least I'm thinking, all the way through Georgia. But by the time it does get there, it's going to be under tomorrow's convective day. The SPC reporting day will be over with for today. It updates, I think it changes at 8 a.m. in the morning. And as you see here, it will continue right in through tomorrow. And you'll have a couple isolated severe storms in portions of Georgia and Alabama for tomorrow. And then you see tomorrow afternoon on here, not a whole lot of activity. Here's a couple storms that get going in Texas, nothing major. We do have some elevated stuff or a boundary that sets up over the Great Lakes tomorrow. We'll have to watch that because it'll be training in west to east fashion. Not expecting anything too big with that. Then we get into Tuesday, and you'll see here on the GFS, you do have this large area of low pressure and a front here, and you see clusters of thunderstorms do get going. Some of them will be supercells. Some of them could contain a strong tornado that could become long track. As we get into Wednesday, this threat continues. It pushes into Kentucky a little bit, and even up here in the Ohio Valley. That's where the Storm Prediction Center is putting a slight risk for you. I think anywhere along this boundary there could be thunderstorm activity on Wednesday, and I think the Storm Prediction Center eventually will just do a large scale slight risk area. Could it get upgraded to enhanced risk across Ohio and northwest Pennsylvania? It's possible on Wednesday. And this front is really slow to move. Look what happens on Thursday. It still has not cleared Pennsylvania. It gets stuck down south. You could have some training thunderstorm segments. Then it becomes more of a question mark as we get into the Easter holiday weekend. It's still stalled down south. You could have some west to east thunderstorm activity. An area of low pressure also could try to get going off the Carolinas. There's real discrepancy in the models. We'll focus more on that later in the week because we have a lot of big thunderstorm events to get to. Let's take a look at NATOcast for today. NATOcast for today is showing a 10% hatched area over Texas, so that's something we're going to have to pay attention to. I want to show you the European model. The European model is showing something really interesting. Look at the temperatures. You get really warm down in Texas today. Southern Texas gets into the 90s. Southern Florida gets into the 90s. 60s and 70s get all the way up into the plains. And as I advance this, the warm weather does start to build in the east, at least up to the mid-Atlantic. Tomorrow, upper 50s in Pennsylvania, but the next day, you start to get warmer than that. Look at that, 70s in Pennsylvania. But look out west. The Northwest is just, yeah, well below average. All the mountains below freezing. I mean, it's not going to feel like April. And remember, the high mountains areas, you still have all that snow packed on the ground, so you're struggling to even warm up out there. But look down across the plains from Texas into Oklahoma. That's right, 80s and 90s on Tuesday, ahead of that front. Then as we advance this into Wednesday, the heat starts to build in the east. And I do say heat. You have 80s and 90s that work their way up into Georgia. Then you have 80s, even mid-80s, all the way up into Virginia on Wednesday. And as we get into Thursday, one more day of 80s, possibly even up to New Jersey on the European. But look out in the West Coast. Yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you. These are 50s in California. So it's really going to be the tale of two seasons from the West Coast to the East Coast. But eventually the East Coast will cool off just in time for the Easter weekend. Let's take a look at the 6 to 10 day temperatures. Below average in the Northeast, below average in the Plains and Central. They're going slightly above average in the West Coast. I'm not so sure I agree with that. I do agree with this down here in Florida, though, because once you get past the warm up in the Northeast, it's going to stay down here in Florida. And this 6-day range, this would actually put it starting next weekend after the warm up in the East. 8 to 14 day range. Finally, you do get a warm up in the West Coast. You get this banana shaped warm up. Below average generally continues in the East. Taking a look at precipitation, finally drier for the West. Below average slightly above average across the east and the south, with the exceptions to Maine. And on the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, we're looking at below average precipitation in the west, below average precipitation in the plains, above average in the south, and slightly above average in Florida, which quite frankly is some good news. You still have the moderate drought conditions in Florida. All right, that does it for today's weather outlook. We'll have another update again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you're new to the channel, give the video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below. See you all again next time.